The room was dim. The only light came from the flicker of an oil lamp swaying gently in the midnight breeze. Delilah's hand trembled slightly as the scissors caught the first lock of his hair. Snip. The sound was soft, almost innocent, but what it carried was betrayal. Samson, the strongest man to ever live, lay asleep on her lap, his head heavy against her thighs, the warmth of trust still between them. His breath was slow, steady. He didn't know the weight of the moment, that his power, his destiny, and his downfall all rested in that gentle motion of steel against hair. Delilah closed her eyes. She told herself she had no choice. But how did she get here? How did a woman's beauty become the blade that cut down a man chosen by God? Before Delilah, there was Samson, a man set apart even before birth. The angel of the Lord had told his mother, "No razor shall touch his head, for the child will be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb." And from that promise came strength beyond human limits. Samson tore lions apart with his bare hands, lifted city gates off their hinges, and crushed armies with nothing but the jawbone of a donkey. He was Israel's living weapon, chosen to deliver them from the Philistines. But even the strongest warriors have a weakness. Samson's wasn't his muscles, it was his heart. He loved deeply, recklessly, dangerously. His desires often spoke louder than his destiny. And that's where Delilah entered the story. She was from the valley of Sorek, a Philistine woman with beauty that disarmed and eyes that could pierce through even a giant's pride. The kind of woman whose silence said more than words ever could. When Samson saw her, he didn't see danger. He saw desire. And for a man who could conquer armies, he could not conquer himself. The Philistine rulers saw this weakness too. They approached Delilah in secret. "Seduce him," they said, "and find out the secret of his great strength, how we can overpower him. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." 1,100 pieces, a fortune, enough to buy power, status, and security, enough to make anyone hesitate. Delilah didn't answer right away. She wasn't foolish. She knew who Samson was. She'd heard the stories. She'd seen the fear in men's eyes when his name was mentioned. But she also knew something else. Every man, no matter how strong, has a breaking point. So she began softly, with laughter, affection, and tender words that disarmed him. One night, as he rested beside her, she leaned close and whispered, "Tell me, Samson, what makes you so strong? What would make you weak?" He smiled. "If they tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings, ones that have never been dried, I'll become weak like any other man." She waited until he slept, and then the Philistine rulers brought the bowstrings. She tied him up herself. Then, with a sly smile, she called out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He broke the bowstrings like burnt thread. The soldiers fled. Delilah's heart pounded, but not with love, with frustration. She turned to him with mock hurt. "You've made a fool of me. You lied to me." But she didn't stop there. Night after night she asked again. Each time he lied. "If I'm bound with new ropes, if you weave my braids into the fabric on a loom." And every time she called the Philistines, and every time Samson broke free. But love can blur even the sharpest instincts. She wept, she pressed, she accused. "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me?" Day after day, her words wore him down, until finally he could no longer resist. He told her everything. "No razor has ever touched my head," he confessed, "because I've been dedicated to God as a Nazirite from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I'd become as weak as any other man." That was the moment she stopped pretending. When he fell asleep in her lap that night, she called for a man to shave off the 7 locks of his hair. The scissors glinted under the lamplight. Snip, snip, snip. Each strand that fell wasn't just hair. It was destiny unraveling. The Spirit of the Lord departed from him. "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He woke up, ready to fight, but his strength was gone. They seized him, gouged out his eyes, and dragged him away in chains to Gaza. The once mighty champion of Israel was now a blind prisoner grinding grain in the darkness. And what of Delilah? The Bible never tells us what happened to her after that night. Did she spend the silver in peace, or did guilt haunt her every time she heard his name whispered in the streets? We don't know, but we do know this. She became the face of betrayal, the woman who traded love for silver and cut down the strongest man in the world not with a weapon, but with a whisper. Yet even in Samson's defeat, the story didn't end there. His hair began to grow again, and in the ruins of the Philistine temple, he prayed one last time, "Lord, remember me. Give me strength once more." He pushed against the pillars, and the building collapsed, crushing his enemies and himself. In death, he won more victories than in life. Delilah's name still lingers, in songs, in stories, in warnings. She reminds us that sometimes destruction doesn't come from war or sword, but from love twisted by greed, and that even the strongest fall, not when their muscles fail, but when their hearts are deceived. The sound of the scissors still echoes through history. The night she cut his hair, she also cut her name into eternity. If you like this video, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.